Um, let's see. Let's all pray before we proceed. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Srimate Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Iti Namini. In Bhaja Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Haribol. Thank you very much, George. So we are going to continue our reading and discussion on the Bhagavad Gita. If you know where we stopped, George, can you put that on the screen? I believe Mr. Pravin will be the first reader, please.
Haribol.
Haribo.
Which text are we at?
That text 52. Yes.
Text 52. Translation. When your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion, you shall become indifferent to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard. Purport. There are many good examples in the lives of the great devotees of the Lord, of those who became indifferent to the rituals of the Ved simply by devotional service to the Lord. When a person factually understands Krishna and his relationship with Krishna, he naturally becomes completely indifferent to the rituals of fruitive activities, even though an experienced Brahman, Sri Madhavendra Puri, a great devotee and acharya in the line of the devotees says, Sandhya, okay, I will skip that. O Lord, in my prayers 3 times a day, all glory to you. Bathing, I offer my obeisances unto you. O demigods, O forefathers, please excuse me for my inability to offer you my respects. Now, wherever I sit, I can remember the great descendant of the Yadu dynasty, that is Krishna, the enemy Kamsa, and thereby I can free myself from all sinful bondage. I think this is sufficient for me. The Vedic rites and rituals are imperative for neophytes, comprehending all kinds of prayer 3 times a day, taking a bath early in the morning, offering respects to the forefathers, etc. But when one is fully in Krishna consciousness and is engaged in his transcendental loving service, one becomes indifferent to all these regulative principles because he has already attained perfection. If one can reach the platform of understanding by service to the Supreme Lord Krishna, he has no longer to execute different types of penances and sacrifices as recommended in revealed scriptures. And similarly, if one has not understood that the purpose of the Ved is to reach Krishna and simply engages in the rituals, etc., then he is uselessly wasting time in such engagements. Persons in Krishna consciousness, translates the limit of Shabda Brahm or the range of Ved and Upanishad. Haribol.
Haribol, thank you very much, Mr. Pravin.
I think,
So
sir,
here we
sir,
actually learn that Krishna says to Arjuna that um, when a person's intelligence is purified, because there is such a thing as pure intelligence, no, or purified intelligence. This is different from the intelligence, the material intelligence that we have. Purified intelligence is actually spiritual. When that intelligence, that material intelligence, when it becomes purified, when it becomes sanctified, it becomes pure, pure intelligence or purified intelligence. Okay? So when that intelligence becomes purified, what happens is that uh, you become indifferent. You become indifferent to uh, the so-called uh, do's and don'ts of the Vedic scriptures. Penances and many of the regulated principles as enunciated in the in this in the Vedic or the Vedas, Vedanta Sutras. Um, when a person is fully engaged in the loving service of Krishna, he has done all his duties. He doesn't owe anyone anything at all, including the demigods. You're done. You're done with trying to you know uh, do some rituals or penances to satisfy someone or to satisfy the demigods or as enunciated by the Vedas, to promote yourself to higher stages of life. You don't need to do that, actually. According to the Bhagavad Gita, simply by uh, understanding the science of identity. Yeah. When you say the science of identity, you don't only mean you understand that you're spirit, but you also mean that you are a dominated part and parcel of God, that you are not God, that your purpose in life is to be engaged in the loving service of God. Yeah. And of course, you are able to realize your natural function. Your natural function as a spiritual being is to serve the Supreme Lord with love and devotion. So if you understood this very well, then you don't need to actually separately try to engage yourself in ritualistic process uh, as enunciated in the Vedas. No, you don't need that. You simply chant the holy names of Krishna, engage in you engage in devotional service to Krishna, you follow the instructions of Gurudev and Lord Nitai Gaur. Yeah, meaning if you've done that, you don't owe anyone anything at all. Hmm. Mute nga si Okay. Okay. So that is the verdict of Krishna. The verdict of Krishna, because a lot of people get stuck up with ritualistic activities. They try to follow strictly even the pronunciation of different mantras. Some of these neophyte devotees, they even quarrel amongst themselves. You did not do it properly. You should have pronounced it this way. You know, you should have offered or something to the Lord this way, this way, this. No, uh, you don't engage in those kinds of activity anymore. In fact, what you can do is if you see somebody trying his best to develop their love for Krishna, you can actually assist them, help them, and be happy that they're trying to develop their love for Krishna. That is the heart and mind consciousness of a devotee of Krishna. Okay, so what do? We simply follow the footsteps of our spiritual master, the instructions of Nitai Gaur, Krishna, and all the Param Gurus, what we should be engaged in. Ganun lang po yan. You don't need to, in other words, you don't need to go to the mountains and try to meditate there for hours on end, etc. You don't need that. You don't need to go to big temples and try to do ritualistic activities. No, there's no need to do that, according to Krishna. No need. Although devotees are also encouraged, no, not to not to not not to feel that you're higher than everyone and try to criticize others. No, we we as devotees of Krishna doesn't engage in those kinds of activities. We're just trying to uh, follow the instructions for Guru Dev and engage in devotional service the best we can. Ganun. So, um, so if one simply follows that, then he is in the best of situations. You're in the best of situations. You don't necessarily have to try to be so invincible to others, and think that I am better than everyone else, etc. No, we don't do that. Okay, so let's continue our reading.
Arbol, sir, I just want to correct, nasa text 57 na po pala tayo, not text 52.
57. Go ahead, Mr. Praveen. Can you read that? 57, please. He who
Yes,
is.
sir. Yes, sir. He who is without attachment, who does not rejoice when he obtains good, nor lament when he obtains evil, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. Purport. There is always some upheaval in the material world, which may be good or evil. One who is not agitated by such material upheavals, who is unaffected by good and evil, is to be understood to be fixed in Krishna consciousness. As long as one is in the material world, there is always the possibility of good and evil because this world is full of duality. But one who is fixed in Krishna consciousness is not affected by good and evil because he is simply concerned with Krishna, who is all good absolute. Such consciousness in Krishna situates one in a perfect transcendental position called technically samadhi.
Okay, can you read one more?
Yeah.
Read one
Yes,
more.
sir. Yeah. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects, as the tortoise draws his limbs within the shell, is to be understood as truly situated in knowledge. Purport. The test of a yogi, devotee, or self realized soul is that he is able to control the senses according to his plan. Most people, however, are servants of the senses and are thus directed by the dictation of the senses. That is the answer to the question as to how the yogi is situated. The senses are compared to venomous serpents. They want to act very loosely and without restriction. The yogi or the devotee must be very strong to control the serpents like a snake charmer. He never allows them to act independently. There are many injunctions in the revealed scriptures. Some of them are do Some of them are do nots, and some of them are do's. Unless one is able to follow the do's and the don'ts, restrict oneself from sense enjoyment, it is not possible to be firmly fixed in Krishna consciousness. The best example set herein, tortoise. The tortoise can at any moment wind up his senses and exhibit them again at any time for particular purposes. Similarly, the senses of the Krishna conscious persons are used only for some particular purpose in the service of the Lord and are withdrawn otherwise. Keeping the senses always in the service of the Lord is the example set by the analogy of the tortoise who keeps the senses within. Haribol.
Haribol, thank you very much, Mr. Praveen. So Krishna here is actually telling Arjuna that he must always be wary or conscious about his activities, because one's activity sometimes uh, we don't we are not able to watch our activity carefully. Sometimes we don't know that we are already committing an offense. We don't know that we're unable to follow already the four regulative principles, like this. So Krishna has given the example of a tortoise, no? Tortoise or turtle, if you get to see them, their limbs are inside their body. It goes inside, and even their head goes inside. So once there is a danger, they do that. They do that. Okay, and when they sleep, also they do that. Okay, so just like a tortoise, a person who is in Krishna consciousness must restrain his senses, just like tortoises. They have to restrain it and not expose it to the material world. Because if a person exposes his senses to the material world and the senses become uncontrolled, then you suffer. There is a great suffering experienced by a devotee of God or somebody who practices devotional activity or service. When they are not careful, Maya will uh, come in and destroy whatever advancement you have in spiritual life. So you're able to actually withdraw your senses like this, withdraw it, uh, and because you're able to withdraw it, it is not exposed to the material conditions of life, then you're able to actually focus your mind, your heart in the service of the Lord. That is the instruction given by Krishna to Arjuna. Right. So next leader, please.
Haribo, can I read po? Ah, Haribo, unmuted po kayo.
Yes, Alina, go ahead. Alina.
Text 59. Text 59 na po? Yes.
Text 59. Text 59.
The embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment through the taste where sense objects
Oh,
remain,
Jesus.
but ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. Unless one is transcendentally situated, it is not possible to cease from sense enjoyment. The process of restriction from sense enjoyment by rules and regulations is something like restricting a deceased person from certain types of eatables. The patient, however, neither likes such restrictions nor loses his taste for eatables. Similarly, sense restriction by some spiritual process like Astanga Yoga in the matter of Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Hadara, jhana, etc., is recommended for less intelligent persons who have no better knowledge. But one who has tasted the beauty of the Supreme Lord Krishna in the course of his advancement in Krishna consciousness no longer has a taste for dead material things. Therefore, restrictions are there for the less intelligent neophytes in the spiritual advancement of life. But such restrictions are only good until one actually has a taste for Krishna consciousness. When one is actually Krishna conscious, he automatically loses his taste for pale things. Haribol.
Haribo, this is actually very important verse, no? Thank you, there, Lynette. Ito pinapakita how one is able to actually control the urges of the senses. Because the senses and the mind, kaya nga sinasabi sa Bhagavad Gita, it's the straight line, no? The mind, the senses, these are all the senses, like, yeah, the sense of tongue, very, very important. And then it goes to the belly and the genitals. Yeah, this is actually a straight line. Very difficult to control that in this day and age of Kali Yuga. It is actually very difficult. Uh, but how can, the question is how am I able to control this, sir? Because this is recommended by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. So Lord Chaitanya and in many verses in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, we find that Krishna is actually giving us the ultimate process for restraining the senses, for controlling the senses. Sa totoo lang, the senses, because of our previous lives, the lives that we have had in the past, yeah, the innumerable lives that we have had in the past, we are all attached to the sensual pleasure. And that's the reason why we keep on coming back here in the material world, because we are attached to the sensual gratification, sensual pleasures of this world. And of course, the experience of this, the enjoyment that you experience in engaging in sensual gratification is uh, recorded in the mind. It is actually recorded in the mind. So when you are engaged in devotional service, you're trying to control the movements of your mind, the urges of the senses, etc., like this. But at the same time, the pleasure is still there. You can still remember the pleasure. That's why we get, sometimes we get surprised. Why is it that I still am attracted to these sense objects? Why? Why are you attracted to the sense objects? Because of the experiences that you have had in your previous life or in your previous bodies. The only way for a person to really control the urges of the mind and senses, okay, is to be engaged in the loving service of Krishna. Hindi trying to, control the breathing process or try to control the 8 paths of yoga, etc., stanga, niyama, yama, pranayam, pratyahara, etc. All these are meant, all these practices actually are meant to control the senses, to control it. Okay, and even though a person may be able to engage in trying to practice all this yoga system in trying to control the senses, still it is very, very difficult to control the senses. We can also experience that even as Vaishnava devotees. As Vaishnava devotees, malakas talaga si Maya. Okay? Maya is very, very strong. So, how do we make it so that we don't get attracted to this different sensual gratification or sensual pleasures? How? By engaging in a higher activity which gives a person a higher pleasure. A higher pleasure. When you experience a higher pleasure, your attraction rather for the lower pleasures of life becomes nil. It becomes non-existent anymore. I already explained this in the past. Like for example, we go to, we are invited to a fiesta. Okay? And syempre yung fiesta dito sa Philippines, as you know, on the table you've got all kinds of meat eatables, di ba? Meron diyan lechon, meron diyan barbecue, meron diyan what you would call is mga ano, no, mga adobo, pansit, lahat nandiyan, lahat yan. Actually, the senses, yung senses natin. Pag makakita tayo, let's say, ng ganun, nagkikrave pa rin yung senses eh. The senses still crave for it. Still crave for it. This is the reason why a person who is not very much advanced in spiritual practices fall into this trap. Sabihin na lang nila, ngayon lang naman, I'm going to, eat this anyway. This is just far. This is actually maliit lang ito. This is a very, very little thing. So you end up eating those things that we're not supposed to eat. Okay, why is that? Because the urges of the senses and the experience of those tastes are still within the mind. Kaya hindi mo pwedeng ipakaila na wala kang alam doon. Alam mo yun. But the only reason why we are able to control the urges of the senses, the tongue, and the mind, it is because we are actually experiencing a higher taste. The higher taste of love for Krishna, the higher taste of the holy names of Krishna. Yeah. When you experience that, automatically your experience for the world decreases up to the point of being nil. Wala na. You totally lose interest. You totally lose interest in those kinds of sensual activities. That is just one example, no? Marami pang examples. The urges for sexual gratification is there, always is there in every soul. Kasi nga, we've experienced that in our past, this lifetime, and the previous lives that we have had in the past. Na-experience po natin yung joy, yung happiness doon, no? Yung enjoyment of the senses of the sexual genitals. Na-experience natin yun eh. That's why we are moved to be attracted to that. But how come the devotees are not attracted to that anymore? Why? Because they are experiencing a higher taste of love for Krishna. The presence of Krishna makes it so that they are able to actually control their senses. Kasi may higher taste. May higher taste at saka may transformative effect yun sa puso natin. The holy names of the Lord gives us a very, very high taste of experience. And also it transforms our heart from being a lover of Mammon to a lover of Krishna. So the more we chant, the more we engage in devotional service, the more we get disinterested in the material pleasures of life. Higher taste in it. Example, somebody gives you fruits and you are very, very hungry. The fruits are in one bandehada, no? But the fruits, different types of fruits, they are almost spoiled. In fact, a lot of them are spoiled already. Some are half spoiled, half okay. So when you're so hungry and you're given this bowl of fruits, what do? Yeah, you want to eat those, right? You just remove the spoiled parts. Pagtiyagaan mo talaga yun. Tapos kakainin mo yun. No? Minsan nga, nakakakain ka pa ng konting bulok eh. Ganon. But you don't mind it because you're hungry. Okay? That means you're attracted only to that because you are not given a higher taste. What if somebody comes and gives you a bowl of fresh fruits? Yeah, fresh fruits, different kinds also. You will not be attracted to that first bandehado, to that first bowl. You will even decide to just throw it because you now have this new, fresh foods or fresh fruits right in front of you. You will not get attracted to that old one. Yeah, you will not get attracted because you are experiencing a higher pleasure, higher taste. Similarly, in spiritual life, we get disinterested in the material sensual pleasures only because of the pleasure of Krishna, engagement in devotional service, and the presence of Krishna in our lives. That's why it is actually very important that we always have a solitude with Krishna, a one-on-one with Krishna, always have conversations with Krishna, etc. Aside from a regular japa meditation. And this is very important because without that connection to Krishna, who is considered to be the source of pleasure. Krishna is the source of pleasure, is the source of happiness, the source of blissfulness. When we get disconnected to that source, what happens to us here? We get swallowed up by Maya, and we begin to search pleasure in the temporary names and forms of this world. And at the end of this is that you get entangled in the material world. You get you don't fulfill your heart's desires. Walang fulfillment. Even though you may have all the monies in the world, even though you may have all the things that money can buy, but if you don't have Krishna, you will never ever be satisfied and be fulfilled and contented in life. Bitin pa din po yun. Because you're eternal. And all of this material sensual gratification, these are all temporary. You try to satisfy the eternal with temporary things, it's not possible. It's not possible. No matter how you try to squeeze it. So this text is very important. Some yogis, they try to restrain their senses by, engaging in Astanga yoga, engaging in pranayam, ganyan, niyama, yama, etc. No, the 8 processes of yoga, but you still find them unfulfilled. For a while, mawawala yun, no? But yung taste, babalik ulit yun. Mawawala ulit yun, but babalik ulit. But with Krishna, once you have a loving relationship with Krishna, once you are able to reestablish your long lost relationship with Krishna, nandun na po yun sa puso natin. We always pray to Krishna to give us spiritual strength so that every time we don't get carried away by the artificial source of pleasure offered by mind. We don't get attracted to that anymore. Kasi ang taas-taas na yung pleasure mo eh. You can actually feel it yourself in your heart. Wow. The presence of Krishna makes me want to wake up in the morning, be excited in life, be excited to be to have a relationship with others, etc. Because you have this kind of mentality, mindfulness or consciousness. Okay? So, next reader, please. Who wants to read?
Haribol.
Haribol, Shani, go ahead.
Text 60. Translation. The senses are so strong and impetuous, O Arjuna, that they forcibly carry away the mind even of a man of discrimination who is endeavoring to control them. Purport. There are many learned sages, philosophers, and transcendentalists who try to conquer the senses But in spite of their endeavors, even the greatest of them sometimes fall victim to material sense enjoyment due to the agitated mind. Even Vishvamitra, a great sage and perfect yogi, was misled by Menaka into sex enjoyment, although the yogi was endeavoring for sense control with severe types of penance and yoga practice. And of course, there are so many similar instances in the history of the world. Therefore, it is very difficult to control the mind and the senses without being fully Krishna conscious. Without engaging the mind in Krishna, one cannot cease such material engagements. A practical example is given by Sri Yamunacharya, a great saint and devotee who says, "Since my mind has been engaged in the service of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, and have been enjoying an ever new transcendental humor, whenever I think of sex life with a woman, my face at once turns from it and I spit at the thought." Krishna consciousness is such a transcendently nice thing that automatically material enjoyment becomes distasteful. It is as if a hungry man had satisfied his hunger by a sufficient quantity of nutritious eatables. Maharaj Ambarisa also conquered a great yogi, Durvasa Muni, simply because his mind was engaged in Krishna consciousness. Haribol Namaste po.
Haribol Namaste. Thank you very much, Shani. So again, very, very important that we engage our senses, our mind, our consciousness in the service of Krishna. It is only through devotional service that we can control our senses. Without devotional service, it's very difficult. I have seen so many so-called yogis in my life. They're teachers of Astanga yoga, or they're teachers of this type of yoga, etc. And when I get to see their life, voila, I immediately, you see that they are not they're not really tasting a higher taste in their life. In fact, if you are, especially if you are an impersonalist, yeah, what you feel is actually dry speculation. There is no sweetness there. How can there be sweetness there? Tell me, how can there be sweetness when Krishna is out of the picture? Sweetness comes only when Krishna is around. Your relationship with Krishna is sweetness itself. It is sweetness personified. That's why you taste this, You're able to actually eat the sweetness of the honey because you have the process by which you eat honey like this. But the impersonalists or the materialists, they also fly around the bees. They also fly around the honey, but they don't uncover the bottle of honey. They simply go directly to the bottle. They think that that's honey already there, and they try to squeeze happiness or sweetness from that bottle, etc., etc. And they find that their taste is not satisfied at all. Kasi nandun lang sila sa labas eh. They're outside of the bottle of honey. How can they penetrate the honey when they don't open the lid of that bottle? That is the process. The process of devotional service is to uncover that lid and get a spoon and eat the honey, and you're able to taste the sweetness of the honey. Similarly, in spiritual life, we are given this process of Saravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Vishnu. Yeah. Once we do that, it is actually a non-different from the presence of Krishna, because his names, his holy names, and he himself are not different, as we all know. You know, so we are able to actually immediately taste the sweetness of the holy names of Krishna, because it is in fact very sweet. Napaka-sweet po ng pangalan ng Krishna. Okay, so one more reader, please. Ma'am Ines, would you like to read, Ma'am Ines?
Opo, sir. Haribol.
Haribol.
Text 61. Translation. One who retrains his senses and fixes his consciousness upon me is known as a man of steady intelligence. Purport. That the highest conception of yoga perfection is Krishna consciousness is clearly explained in this verse. And unless one is Krishna conscious, it is not at all possible to control the senses. And cited above, the great sage Basa Muni picked a quarrel with Maharaj Ambarisa, and Durbasa Muni unnecessarily became angry out of pride and therefore could not check his senses. On the other hand, the king, although not as powerful a yogi as the sage, the Lord, silently tolerated all these 8 sages in injustice and thereby emerged victorious. The king was able to control his senses because of all following qualifications as mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. King Ambarisa fixed his mind on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, engaged his words in describing the abode of the Lord, his hands in cleansing the temple of the Lord, his ears in hearing the pastimes of the Lord, his eyes in seeing the form of the Lord, his body in touching the body of the devotee, his nostrils in smelling the flavor of the flowers offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, his tongue in tasting the tulasi leaves offered to him, his legs in traveling to the holy place where his temple is situated, his head is offering obeisances unto the Lord, and his desires in fulfilling the desires of the Lord. And all these qualifications made him fit to become a Matpara devotee of the Lord. The word Matpara is most significant in its connection. How one can become a Matpara is described in the life of Maharaj Ambarisa. Srila Beladev Vijayabhusana, a great scholar and acharya in the line of the Matpara remarks, these senses can be completely controlled, and only by the strength of devotional service to Krishna. Also, the example of fire is sometimes, the senses can be completely controlled only by the strength of devotional service to Krishna. Also, the example of fire is sometimes given as the small flames within burned everything within the room. Similarly, Lord Vishnu, situated in the heart of the yogis, burns up all kinds of impurities. The Yoga Sutra also prescribes meditation on Vishnu and not meditation to the void. The so-called yogis who meditate on something which is not the Vishnu form simply waste their time in a vain search offers some phantasmagoria. We have to be Krishna consciousness. We have to be Krishna conscious devoted to the personality of Godhead. This is the aim of the real yoga. Haribol, sir. Haribol, sir.
Haribol, thank you very much, Ma'am Ines. Maraming salamat. Yeah, so here we can find, we can learn that, even a king like King Ambarisa Maharaj was tested, no? His devotion and love to Krishna was greatly tested here, because of his humility, and a devotee of Krishna, a great devotee of Krishna, Ambaris Maharaj. Although he was a king, he was a great devotee of Krishna. There was a sage by the name of Durvasa Muni who picked up a quarrel with Ambaris Maharaj. Perhaps we can discuss that, how they came about having a quarrel in some other time. But the thing is that Durvasa Muni is actually a great sage, and yet he couldn't control the urge of his anger. Now, where is anger coming from? Anybody? Why do a person gets angry? It is actually found in the Bhagavad Gita, no? Sige, anyone? Diba?
Haribol,
Yes, go ahead.
because of the past experience we had, and now it's like it's happening again, and so we react on the situation that we are not comfortable or not that we don't like, so we react and get mad, and that's it. We sometimes we intensify the situation because of the things that we can control.
Thank you very much, Sharni. Actually, that is part of the answer. But in the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated, while contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachments to them. And from such attachments, lust develops. When lust develops, as you know, lust is never fulfilled, right? Because it is lust. When lust develops, anger arises. So really, anger comes from lust. And lust is a product of a person contemplation of the objects of the senses. When a person contemplates the objects of the senses, yeah, he gets attached to them. And from such attachments, lust develops. When lust develops, anger arises. When anger arises, delusion and bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one comes down again into the pool of material existence. It's actually found in the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. So it's really coming from lust. this anger. And unfortunately, Durvasa Muni was not able to actually control the urges of his anger. What was the cause of that? The cause of that is lust. Somehow in his life, even though he was already a sage, uh, the pool of the senses for sense gratification is still there. Yeah. And the lust, yeah. Lust doesn't only particularly is limited to sexual attraction, but lust also is um, can be fired up even with just the lust for, let's say, jewelry, the lust for money, the lust for material wealth, like that. If a person is too much attached to this different lust, he easily gets angry. Easily. Hindi mo naman maintindihan, bakit ka galit? Bakit ka galit sa mundo? Bakit galit ka sa ibang tao? A devotee of Krishna immediately understands that when he gets angry, immediately says, wow, this is coming from lust. Lust ito. This is because of the lust that is there in the corner of my heart that I need to purify. Yeah. So he wasn't able to um, conquer it. In other words, he fell from it. It doesn't mean that Durvasa Muni is a bad person, that somehow in spiritual life sometimes we stumble down and we fall down, but you just go you just stand up again and continue your devotions. You have to continue your devotional service despite the downfall. That is the intelligent way of handling spiritual life. Just pray to Krishna. Krishna, I am full of material desires in my heart, Krishna. I still hanker for sensual gratification. I still get attracted somehow or other to sense gratification. Yeah. Why is that? Because we are not steady in our Krishna consciousness. Hindi po tayo steady. Kasi kung steady yan, hindi ka malalaglag yan. But somehow or other, sometimes we fall down. But we have to get up and continue our devotional service. Yeah. Ask Krishna for forgiveness and the spiritual master. And, off you go again. Ganun lang po yan. Some people that are chanting, when they fall down, they use that as a license. Ay, ano naman ako I'm very, very dirty already, so I'm not going to chant anymore. So you can actually see that what they desire really is not Krishna, even in the first place. They desire to enjoy the material world. And when they find themselves into this condition, they even use that as a license so that they can enjoy more sensual gratification. So instead of asking Krishna for forgiveness, instead of praying to our Guru Dev for forgiveness, sincerely praying for forgiveness, they engage in more sensual gratification. And thereby, yun na nga yun, when lust develops, anger arises. When anger arises, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. Nawawala yung intelligence mo. Nawawala na yun. Tuloy-tuloy na yun. Intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one comes down again into the pool of material existence. Yeah. you fall down into the pool of material existence all over again. And actually becomes difficult for you to climb up again to your spiritual journey. So the best thing to do, really, no, is to ask for forgiveness from Krishna. That's the only thing, Krishna, I'm very, very weak. I'm very, very weak. That's why those people were saying, I have love for Krishna. I'm very, very strong physically. That's not the consciousness of a devotee. The consciousness of a devotee is that he always feels that he is the most sinful of all sinners. Mapapansin naman natin yan in our daily lives. The attraction for sensual gratification is very strong. Yeah. And it actually disturbs our minds. Nadi-distract po tayo sa ating ginagawa. Yeah. So it's always nice to be honest with Krishna, because with Krishna, Krishna's love for us is unconditional. Remember that. His love for us is unconditional. Wala pong conditions. He doesn't say, okay, I'll forgive you now, but if ever you will do that again, I'm going to throw you into the hellish life. Hindi po ganun si Krishna. Si Krishna simply forgives. When he sees that your heart is sincere, na nadulas ka, nadapa ka, so right now you're trying again to reestablish that long lost relationship that you have for Krishna. Yeah. So diyan napunta si Durvasa Muni. Okay? Now, Maharaj Ambarisa was a king. He was he was always in the company of materialists or materialistic people, etc. Always engaged in the royalty, because he is a king, the Maharaj. Yeah. But he was actually a great devotee of Krishna. He was a great devotee of Krishna. He did not feel any anger towards Durvasa Muni at all. Yeah. Why? Why doesn't he feel anger? Because wala pong lust eh. Nagkakaroon na ng anger because of lust. So you have to check yourself. Once you get so angry, once you get so hateful of somebody and become angry of somebody, yeah, that means that you are full of lust in your heart. In fact, what a devotee feels really is, instead of getting angry, you get angry at the activity of the person, but you don't get angry with the person, because that person is a child of God. That person is a spiritual entity, a part and parcel, a child of Krishna also. That somehow, made you distracted in what you're doing, and now you can only begin to hate and get angry with his activities. Alam mo ba, galit ako sa ginawa mo, pero hindi ako galit sa iyo. Hindi ako galit sa iyo. In fact, because you're a child of Krishna, I consider you my brother. I consider you my sister. Yeah, and therefore, I love you. When I was a young father, I had 7 children. When they were all growing up, sometimes they would get so kids are like that, they get sometimes uncontrolled. Yeah. And sometimes I would call them up and ask them to face the wall. Ganyan. I never uh, get to the point of whipping my children. That was not my style. My style is I talk to them, okay, tell them about what they did, and because they did this, they have to have some sort of retribution. So the retribution is face the wall, or you will be sent to the bad room. Bad room ka, for 2 hours or 3 hours like that. And there, they are able to realize what they did. Yeah. And what I tell them is that, why I'm doing this to you? It is because I love you. You will be so worried when pag wala na akong pakialam sa inyo. I don't discipline you anymore, etc. So after that, I just embrace them again, like that. And that is a way of also uh, uh, a type of quality fathering or quality parenting. Ganun po. Hindi po natin pwede silang bugbugin. That will not help them. That will never, kasi feeling nila you are resenting their personality, that you hate them. Actually, a devotee of Krishna loves everyone, especially their loved ones, no? But they get angry at when they commit an offense, when they commit sinful activity, like this. So yan ang nangyari kay Ambaris Maharaj, a king. He was actually a great devotee of Krishna, yeah, and he was able to actually get the grace and blessings of Krishna compared with Durvasa Muni. Okay, do you have any questions? Any questions po kayo? Walang question? Isaac, nandyan ka ba? Isaac, are you there? Haribol, Isaac. Mahina ang sound mo, Isaac. Ha?
Haribol!
Yun. I-off mo yung isa. I-off mo yung isa. Yan lang i-on mo. Okay, go ahead. You can have some kirtans. Jai Krishna, Haribol.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me now, sir?
Very clear.
Haribol!
Haribol.
Haribol!
Haribol, Haribol. Krishna, Krishna.
Haribol, sir, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Your sound is very good.
Damao Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Sita Swarupana
Nitai Gaur. Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Nitai Gaur.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Gauranga. Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Gauranga.
Haribol, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gauranga.
Haribol. Maraming salamat sa family ni Isaac, Cleo, and Krishna Dasi, and Yoli. Maraming salamat sa exit kirtan ninyo. Thank you.
Haribol.
Haribol. Also, I would like to thank George, his family, Mina and Kalkidas, for being my co-host for this morning. Maraming salamat.
Daghang salamat, sir. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Also, for those who engaged in reading, no? Yung reading, maraming salamat po sa inyo. And to all those who participated, I'd like to thank the SBNL devotees from Zamboanga, I can see right now. Yeah. Beautiful souls. Haribol. Thank you. Yeah. And Elinet, maraming salamat, Net. Thank you. Sharni, maraming salamat, Sharni.
Haribol, sir. Thank you so much, Haribol.
Haribol. Christian Makilan, thank you. Haribol. Jai Krishna. Si Ma'am Ines ba nandyan? Kasama niyo sa assembly? Wala.
Wala po, nandito po ako sa bahay, sir. Sa bahay po, sir.
Pensaba yo tayo ustedes na divisoria.
Sir, Sunday lang sa tanong na iglesia, sir. Saturday na kasa lang yun, sir.
Okay, Ma'am Ines, thank you. And of course, my very good friend, Mr. Praveen. Thank you very much for always coming.
Maraming salamat po.
Walang anuman, Mr. Praveen. So, yan. I think I have mentioned everyone. So, tomorrow we won't have a question and answer class because I'll be traveling to Manila. No, so wala tayong class tomorrow, Sunday. Okay. Ingat po kayo lahat. Please take good care of yourselves. Yeah. Sharni, maraming salamat, Sharni.
Haribol, sir. I-announce na lang, sir, na we won't have a Q&A for tomorrow.
Yes, wala tayong Q&A tomorrow because,
Yes.
I'm traveling.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm going to conduct a teacher's course for meditation in Silao. Okay,
Yes, sir.
guys, thank you very much. Ingat po kayo lahat. Jai Krishna, Haribo. Yan.
Haribol.
Haribo. Krishna.
Krishna, Haribol.